we always notice a girl's forehead and how big it is.
JJ, what?
And we have to convince ourselves it's not that big and it's normal.
That is so shallow. I just spit. Are you joking me?
I'm not joking.
It's Kait
and JJ,
and this is another episode of the Heart of Dating podcast. We are in the middle of October and it's getting chilly, like really chilly. What is also in a few weeks in October is Halloween, and we will be talking today about the very controversial topic about how Christians should handle Halloween.
Side note, can we do that intro again? It gives me the ick when you use that tone. And I don't know what it is. I just can't get over it. I don't know. It's just gives me the ick.
I really want to know what your icks are when it comes to me.
Where to start? How long is this episode?
Okay, we're also going to be talking about dating icks and getting the ick in dating, which is a big deal right now. So really fun episode for you guys today. But before we get into it, HODC Dallas, we had our flash sale for only 48 hours last week, and it went so well. We're going to be opening up early bird tickets soon. So be on the lookout at heartofdating.com/HODC. Also, you can join our Facebook group, follow us on Instagram, and you get to find out in all those different places. Speaking of this conference, I'm so excited because it really is going to be a different conference than we've ever done before. Because mostly when you go to conferences, right, JJ, like it's like a fire hose of information all day long, or for the 2 days or 3 days, whatever length it is. It's like so much info, right?
Yeah. And I actually feel bad too, because I feel like I'm obligated to be in there listening and learning, but I don't really want to be, you know? Like, yeah. I feel like I paid money for it, and two, they put in so much effort. I feel bad for the speakers.
But okay, question for you, truthfully. Would you even sign up and pay money to go to a conference if you knew it was all content?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Like we went to Preston Sprinkle's Exiles in Babylon conference, where it was just him teaching for basically a day and a half exclusively on LGBTQ in the church.
Yeah. And
it was so interesting for all of it that it was pretty easy to lock in, but it wasn't him teaching every single time.
And you went to the Forming Men conference with John Tyson and Jefferson Bethke?
Yeah, I think that was the last conference I went to. Yeah, I did. But even then, you still get stuck in the same kind of rhythm: worship, message, break, talk, worship, message, break, talk.
Yeah. So this year, we have an incredible partner. We are partnering up with Keystone Church, and they're just incredible because their staff their leadership, and we are so excited because they have an amazing venue that for the first time is giving us the opportunity to host multiple different things at the same time. So pretty much if you come in person, you're going to be able to create your own experience. So you could, in essence, go to every session and listen to like, hey, this main keynote, and then I'm going to go to this breakout, and then I'm going to go to this workshop and a panel and do everything. Or you can maybe forego the panel, and instead I'm going to go to mingling and games, and I'm going to go hang out with other singles and play games with them. Or I'm going to go to some dance lessons, and I'm going to find out how to maybe salsa dance with some people. We're also going to have an opportunity for extended worship and prayer time. So there's just going to be so many different options on top of the main keynote, so that in between, you can really make this conference what you want it to be and how it best suits you. So it really is going to be a conference unlike ever before. We hope to see you February 14th and 15th. That's right. It's Valentine's Day. I can't think of a better way to spend Valentine's Day as a single than with a ton of other singles, so that you are not alone. It's going to be incredible in Dallas. We can't wait for that. All right, let's get into the episode today.
Where do you want to start? Ick or Halloween?
We're going to start with the dating icks.
Okay, let's go.
So first of all,
can I just list out all that I have on you?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, no. Before, what does getting the ick mean?
I mean, you tell me. I think We've had this. This is just Gen Z's new way of defining it.
Should we ask ChatGPT, what does getting the ick mean?
Sure.
Okay. All right, here it is. Getting the ick means feeling a sudden, often irrational loss of attraction towards someone you're dating due to something that they do that turns you off. Once it happens, it's hard to shake.
That's a good definition.
That's it. It's very, very true. And it can come on almost suddenly. It's almost like you could really like someone and then all of a sudden something happens and you're like, I can't see them the same.
Yeah.
So, man, we saw this actually in the show Nobody Wants Us, which we talked about last week, where in one of the episodes she quote gets the ick for Noah, the main guy in the show, because of his outfit, because he brings these giant sunflowers, because of the way he's talking while meeting her parents, and she's just like looking at him and all these different elements, and she's like, "No, I'm not. No." And she was about to break it off with him because of getting the ick.
I know. And it sounds funny, but it's very real, as in this is very much part of our story. So here's what we're going to do. We have a list submitted by you guys. We're going to pick one each. And I'm going to ask Kait if she's ever experienced this one. And she's going to say yes or no. And then you're going to pick one. And then we're going to go back and forth.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm going to pick one that I think you might have had.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I definitely know for sure this 1,000,000%. Okay. Kait, is it an ick when you notice they're smacking, slurping while eating their food?
Or talking with their mouth full?
Or talking with a big old full mouth of food. You can't even understand what they're saying.
Yeah, that is one of my big icks. And
biggest?
It is one of the biggest icks.
Is it a deal breaker?
It's not, because if it was, I wouldn't be married to you. Because you guys, truth be told, on our first date, we went to In-N-Out. Okay.
Okay.
At the end of this date, we went to In-N-Out and in our first in-person date. And we're sitting in my Mini Cooper eating the In-N-Out, and he is eating it. Okay. And he's like smacking it real loud. Oh, but this is the best. He also licks the fingers.
Okay. All right.
He licks the fingers.
Okay.
And I'm like, you've not washed your hands. That's so gross. But then this goes further. Okay. So I'm like watching this. I'm like, okay, noted. Wow. And then he goes to throw away our food and the trash can is full. And he is being a good Samaritan.
Yes.
So he pushes in the trash can with one of his hands and
stuffed it
down.
So that the little princess behind me and the future princesses didn't have to get their hands dirty.
And then he throws our trash in there, but then he proceeds to not wash his hands at all. And
well, I mean, there wasn't.
You could have gone into the In-N-Out.
No, I could not. I think it was like a little drive-through one only.
No, it wasn't. No, they're not the only drive-through ones. They always have an indoors.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm positive. So I was basically, after seeing the smacking.
Were you gagging?
I was pretty grossed out. So
why were you? Deal. Okay, so first of all, of all meals, In-N-Out, first time having it, is there any nice way to eat a smash burger?
But
that's just dripping in sauce.
I can't believe this is the first day because I could go on and on. But the thing is, and I love you, honey, and I actually now block it out. I just don't watch you eat. It actually is much better for me. But in the beginning of dating,
me too.
It was hard because you would take a giant bite. And then you would only take like you would only chew it for like 2-3 chews. And then you, with the food in your mouth, still not digested or swallowed.
Yeah.
You would open your mouth and take another giant bite.
Yeah, exactly. On purpose. Okay, well, that's a little crude.
No, and that's how you eat.
Well, yeah, it's the best way to eat. It's full mouth theory.
It's so weird.
Do you want to know what it is?
I know full mouth theory.
Ask me.
What is full mouth theory?
Okay, it's basically where the food is so good and delicious, it feels good to have it all shoved in your mouth, and you constantly want to have that flavor and feeling.
Oh my God.
In your mouth.
It's so gross.
And so you just keep it going. You keep it full. You got to keep it full. You got to keep it on the roof of your mouth, tongue, everywhere. Yeah. That's the best way to eat a good food.
Anyway, should we move on to the next ick?
Yeah, that could have been misinterpreted. So, Let's keep going.
On to the next one. I agree with this next one, saying, "Hey, beautiful," when you just started talking.
Okay, so you're asking me, is that my ick?
No, because most of these are
because
from
I
girls.
have been called out, and it is a total ick. I had so many girls call me "Hey, beautiful" early on, and I was like, "You guys don't even know me. You don't know my you don't know my emotions, my feelings, my intelligence. You're just like every girl looking at my exterior and calling me beautiful. It's so cliche." And so, yeah, it was an ick for me.
What if they said, "Hey, handsome"?
Oh, that's amazing. You won't find a one man XY chromosome. I think I got that right. The entire world who's been called handsome and has been upset about it.
Okay. Do you want to choose the next ick?
Yeah, for you. Okay, yeah, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Bashing or just obsessively talking about their ex.
That's actually going to ask you. That does give me the ick majorly, but it's more of not an ick. It's more of just a red flag, to be honest.
Okay, but what's the difference?
Like smacking is not a red flag. Okay, that's just a gross thing, hygiene wise.
It's a gross flaw. Okay,
but but actually talking poorly about your ex is more of a red flag to me than an ick. You know, I mean, it can give you the ick, but it should be a red flag.
So it's a turn off and a red flag.
Yes,
it's both.
Yeah.
Whoa, a double whammy.
Yep. Here's another one. When he talks about how expensive the date is.
Oh, I hate it when the guys that would go out would talk about how expensive the date is. There's a couple guys when I lived in New York City, and it was just like, they were just like boasting and like just flippantly bragging about how expensive the bottle of wine that we were getting. I mean, they brought it up like 3 times. Like, I get it. It's a $39 bottle of wine.
So, but for real, do you think that's like gross when a guy would do, if a guy does that?
To me,
no.
Yeah, I think it's pretty insecure. I mean, is insecurity an ick?
Yeah, that should be nice.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, here's more. This is
no. I got it. I got it for you. Okay, wanting to date multiple people at once. Total ick.
Was that an ick for you? Because I was.
No, I think the fact that you told me about it, I was cool with it. Like, I appreciated it. Yeah. And 2, we're all unhinged at that point. What's the difference? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think dating more than one person in the dating phase, you know, if you get the ick from that, I would just encourage you to like ask them and get curious. And if you are a person that's dating more than one person in the beginning dating phase, you're still on a dating app talking to people, like, please be honest and explain why you're doing that. And if you don't know why you're doing that, and if you're just doing it because like you want a lot of options and you're trying to have fun, then yeah, you should get the ick from somebody talking to a lot of people. I will actually give you an ick right now. A guy who has a lot of female friends.
That's an ick?
And a red flag.
What about a girl who has a lot of guy friends?
Let me ask you.
I mean, I think in some ways it makes them kind of cool. Like, they're very relatable and fun.
Okay. So it's not an ick for you.
I'd say it's more red flag than an ick.
Okay, cool. What about a girl who cusses like in normal conversation?
I mean, which curse words?
Are you serious?
I mean, there's a little bit of a difference between like the D word and dropping F-bombs, right?
JJ.
I mean, I would say like one little curse word. I mean, it's not cool. Like, I don't.
No, but they're talking and dropping them regularly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Consistently cussing. Yeah. I'd say that's an ick.
Oh, I totally agree.
Right.
Another ick is a guy who watches anime.
Okay. A guy who watches anime. Is that an ick? Would you agree?
Yes. No, I don't think it's that bad. I think gaming, a guy who games is an ick for me. And that always been an ick. And you were a gamer.
Yeah, I had both. I watch anime and game.
Yeah. Anime to me is not as big of a deal, but I'm just saying this is one of the ones we got.
The stereotype of anime is guys who like live in their mom's basement, don't shower, and
that's more gaming, isn't it?
And they're like very kind of like homeschool ish, weird, you know.
Is that the really?
Yeah, that's the anime stereotype for sure.
I didn't know that.
The kid who runs around like Naruto style.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I got one for you.
Yeah.
When they are unkind to servers and cashiers and public workers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Ick or red flag?
Both.
Oh, the double whammy.
Yeah. It's
okay, I got one for you as a girl. They text you way too much.
So I actually think that this one's coming out of, if that is an ick for you, there's a potential, and I'm not saying it is totally going to be this, but sometimes that you might be attracted to unavailable things, and therefore a guy who is showing you consistent interest feels icky to you because you kind of like the chase, you like to try to prove yourself, and maybe it's a little bit subconscious. Like you don't realize you like to do that, but that's kind of like what you're more drawn to. You're more drawn to the mysterious guy. You're more drawn to more of the unavailable guy or the guy that every girl wants. So then when a guy is interested in you and then is texting you a lot, you're like, wait, what? There's like no questions here. It doesn't feel mysterious.
Okay. I have another one.
Yep.
What about...
okay, can I say the flip side of this?
Sure.
The flip side of this is somebody who clearly is obsessed with you without knowing anything about you. And that is icky to me.
Yeah, that is.
That's like more the love bombing people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm texting you all the time. And I'm not only texting you all the time, I'm obsessed with you. I'm calling you beautiful. I'm saying you're the most amazing thing I've ever met.
Just smothering you.
Like all these things, love bombing. That is definitely an ick.
Totally. Okay, what about this one? It's interesting. Provocative thirst trap photos of themselves.
I think that was a guy actually saying that. So I want to ask you.
No, I'm asking you because it could go both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think with guys, it's more of, those kind of selfie pics like this and the gym pics and all of those. All of us girls have the ick with a fish photo, a gym selfie.
No, I'm talking about like they're somewhat good looking and they're posting a photo of themselves shirtless at the trip to Greece that they took last week. And they kind of look good.
I think it depends. Okay. So if you're posting a photo, is that a photo that you post like once in a while? Or is it like your page is filled with like, I'm shirtless and my body looks awesome?
Let's just say it's a flexing pic. Like you can tell they're kind of jacked or whatever. They look good. They know they look good. And it's every 3 to 6 photos.
Oh, definitely. That's ick. I'm like, no, thank you.
You're not attracted to it?
I wouldn't date them. No. Wouldn't date them at all. What about a girl who posts thirst traps?
I think that's the thing. If guys are being honest and they're attracted to the girl, I don't think they consider an ick.
Yeah.
I think they're like, they're hot, but it's kind of a red flag that she's posting.
But I will say one guy did say she claims to love Jesus, but her Instagram is filled with provocative pics.
And that's the thing. I think when guys are attracted to the girl and the provocative, it's a red flag, but it's not an ick.
Interesting, right? Because it's like, oh, well, she's beautiful.
Exactly. I think exactly.
See, I think it's icky. So
yeah, I think girls have the better wisdom there. Okay, one more.
Sure.
You go. I'll go.
Yeah.
What about if they're like maybe overly spiritual Christianese, where it's like to a point you can't relate to what they're saying, like it's the shallow 1 inch deep.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that gives me the ick, but I just wouldn't be interested. I can accept them for who they are, but I wouldn't say it gives me the ick of like, oh, I'm so turned off by that. I'm just like, we're just not going to really connect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But here's one that's a big ick for me. And I think a lot of women can relate to this. My biggest ick in dating is smell, and specifically breath. If you have bad breath, I don't care if you're David Beckham, if you look like David Beckham. If you have bad breath, I'm not into you. And I immediately
How bad is bad?
I can't. Which I feel bad because there are actually people that have
chronically bad breath.
Chronically, yeah.
But how bad?
Truly feel bad.
How bad is bad? Like the smell of sour milk. Obviously, that's bad. But what about like Lovey's paws? Like they smell like a Frito factory.
The thing is with you, JJ, after I saw you with the In-N-Out, I thought your breath was going to be so bad.
And it was amazing.
It wasn't amazing, but it was bad. We didn't kiss.
I'm a pretty neutral smelling. I'm a pretty neutral smelling guy.
Yeah, you actually don't really get BO. That's another one. Oh my gosh, BO.
Yeah, BO is hard. That one's hard.
And I do feel bad again because some people, but I'm also very sensitive to smell.
Okay.
Very, very sensitive.
My biggest ick would probably be someone who's pretty selfish. That one's just, I think that's a common one with guys too.
So I'm a little selfish.
Looks like we both overlooked some icks.
So, but okay, so let's
which is
say,
a good way to close it out.
Before we go to the next topic, if somebody's on a date or they've gone 3, 4, 5 dates and then the ick comes up, what should they do?
I mean, listen, if you look for them, you can find one with anybody.
Absolutely.
Is my theory. So you're gonna accept some icks, take it on the chin, find a way to work with it, ignore it. You know, you just heard Kait and I talk about it.
Unless it's a red flag.
Yeah.
If the ick is a red flag, like some of the ones like talking about your ex badly or posting provocative photos, like those I would say are also red flags. But I mean, having bad breath is not a red flag. It's just an ick.
Well, I have a controversial one. I can say it and then we can decide to cut it after. Okay. This is not necessarily an ick, but this would happen to me. And I think it happens with guys a lot. And it's like top secret information. I feel bad for sharing it. Okay. Something happens in the journey of a guy dating a girl where at some point, regardless of how normal, small, big it is, we always notice a girl's forehead and how big it is.
JJ, what?
And we have to convince ourselves it's not that big and it's normal.
That is so shallow. I just spit. Are you joking me?
I'm not joking. It happens.
That's really bad. I have a small forehead.
Yeah, but at some point in time, every guy notices the forehead.
So you noticed and you said, oh, I don't know if I could do it because she has a small forehead.
Well, I think we have to reconvince ourselves that it's not that bad, like it's normal or small. But at some point, we always notice the forehead size.
That's like if you're dating like a British guy who doesn't have the best teeth, you know?
Yeah. But your forehead's good. And most of the time it is. But for some reason, I feel like the forehead, and you can't ever say that one, right? Because most women are insecure about their forehead size, right? That's a very...
I'm not insecure about my forehead.
Are you sure? No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like that's a common thing to be insecure about, right?
Sure. I don't ever hear women talking about that. It's way more other bodily stuff than forehead.
Wait, you've never seen a movie or a TV show where they're like concerned about their forehead size?
I mean, not really.
Okay. I thought it was. All right. So maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. Well, praise be to you for considering me, even with my small forehead.
Yeah, it was a weird thing that always came up for me. I don't know why. All right.
See, superficiality. That's what icks are. Also, if you are watching YouTube, you officially now can see Lovey, who got the worst haircut of her life. And so shout out to our YouTube family. She's not even the same dog. I feel so sad for her. It's a long story.
People are calling her cute, but it's like that pity kind of cute. Like that's the level. She looks so bad that they're like, well, it's like a cute kind of ugly. I'm like, you know what? We actually did it on purpose because she's going to be a mole rat for Halloween. She's going to be Rufus from Kim Possible.
Speaking of Halloween.
Yeah. Lovey's going to be celebrating. She's going to be that little, the UPS worker where they have like the little present and they run around. Have you seen that costume?
No.
Oh, it's so cute. Okay. Yeah, Lovey's going to be a UPS worker. What are you going to be, Kait?
Well, let's back it up. Let's back it up.
Whoa, I almost caught you.
Let's back it up.
You celebrate.
So let's talk about how should Christians handle Halloween. But before we talk about that, I would love to know your history with Halloween, like in your family of origin. I can't.
Why are you so clinical?
Your family of origin.
You know my family, all right?
Yes.
You're talking about my therapist. you know they're your in-laws, right?
Did you guys dress up for Halloween at all?
Yeah, we dressed up maybe a handful of times.
Did you guys give out candy?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. We filled up a very small bowl because it was too expensive to fill up a big bowl. And it was gone by 15 minutes where I turn off the lights. No more candy. Don't knock on this house. I mean, people knew after a while, that's a cheap house. Don't go to that house. We were not a good house to stop
Okay,
at.
but so in that way, would you say you, quote, celebrated Halloween?
I mean, not really, but yes. We go to Harvest Fest. We go to, something at church. We would do something on the street, but that was it.
So you did trick or treat?
But we were.
Did you go trick or treat?
Yeah, a couple times. But we were. What's funny is we were a non-Harry Potter family.
Okay, yeah.
So we couldn't do Harry Potter specifically. There was like a couple other movies that we weren't allowed to watch, but Harry Potter, man.
Okay, wait. I have a question for you.
Yeah,
Speaking
it
on
is
Harry
from the
Potter
devil.
front. Harry Potter front. Can you just help me to understand why so many Christians did not watch Harry Potter, but can and do watch Lord of the Rings?
I think they're a little different, right?
Is there not magic and some kind of, quote, witchcraft stuff in Lord of the Rings?
Well, I think the good part of Lord of the Rings is very, very pure, heroic. It's like light.
Same with Harry Potter.
Wait. No, it's not. Harry Potter, even your good guys are doing potions and spells and, witchcraft. Like, so Gandalf is very different
but
from
Gandalf is doing magic.
Little Ron and Hermione.
He's doing magic. He's saying things that make
but
happen.
it's a little different.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I've been thinking about this a lot lately.
He's got no potions.
I've been thinking about this recently. Okay, but so it's just because of the potions.
I do think there's something about a cauldron and potions that really, really do change it.
No, but because you were allowed to watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Two Towers was a staple.
But yes, and I watched Lord of the Rings. I also watched Harry Potter. No, I read Harry Potter, but I need to talk about how that all happened in my family. Well, I will do it now. I read Harry Potter because my mom decided.
You read Harry Potter?
Everyone was against it. All of us. I was Catholic, but everybody at the time, at least, and everyone that in our church was like, no Harry Potter. So my mom was like, okay, I see why they would say that. Let me actually read the book for myself, the first book, The Chamber of Secrets, and see if this would be okay versus just assuming. So my mom read each book before I was allowed to read it, and then she would approve it for me or not. And she was like, I think it's okay for her. And so I read them and I loved them.
So would you let Eleanor read Harry Potter?
I probably would, yeah.
What if I say no?
Then we got to talk about that, obviously. But here's the thing. Why I think it's so funny is I don't think Harry Potter is all that different from Lord of the Rings. Especially because we've recently been watching the show Rings of Power. And while I'm watching that, I'm just like, and reminded of all the of Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm like, it's not that different with some of the magical, demonic-y stuff, if that's the claim.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If I had to make a call right now, I don't. If you're going to make a rule for Harry Potter based off, witchcraft or demonic use, or whatever, then you got to make that rule everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. People like to maybe discriminate against like buying certain products because the company stands for LGBTQ or abortion rights. I'm like, that's fine, but just do it everywhere. So you're not going to have an Apple iPhone. You're not going to have a Tesla car. Like 99% of the products you use in your life, you can say goodbye to. So that's just what I mean. Like, now, either go 0% or 100% as far as your policy.
I agree. Now, I do think with a lot of people's, we're digressing into Harry Potter, but we should just talk about Halloween and what it means to, quote, celebrate Halloween and how we believe Christians should handle Halloween. I grew up trick-or-treating, dressing up, and yeah, I did all those things. I never wore any sort of scary costumes. Neither did my brother. I don't think that was ever allowed, nor would we ever choose that. And when we, quote, decorated for Halloween, it was like with pumpkins. It was nothing like scary, but we would carve pumpkins and we would
did the pumpkins ever have like scary teeth, like fangs?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so maybe that was a little dark.
Oh my goodness. Okay, but here's the thing. So we did some research on this, and I'd love for you to share because you're really good at like resharing information that you just read. I need like notes in front of me, and you're very good actually at memorizing stuff.
Okay, so how Christians should handle Halloween. Easiest way is to go back to the origin, like the origin story. kind of like how Marvel does it. Let's see. At its most simple origin, it's an Irish festival celebrated at the end of summer and fall, going into winter. They've just done their harvest, and basically they thought with that temperature change and the sun changing, somehow, spiritually speaking, it was the thinnest layer in between the physical world and the spiritual world, where good spirits and bad spirits could come into the world. And so they would light bonfires, dress up in costumes to ward off evil spirits specifically.
Yep.
And that was called Samhain.
Yeah, it's a weird word.
Yeah, Samhain. Yeah. So that's where it all started.
Or Samhain or something.
Yeah.
So now there is the Christian traditional practice of All Saints Day, which existed in May, back in the day, to commemorate the death of martyrs and saints.
So in the 8th century, a guy named Pope Gregory, like the third, said, you know what? Here's a pagan tradition to kind of come around it and make it maybe a better holiday or a good holiday or tradition. We're going to put All Saints Day on November 1st, the day after the pagan holiday. And the night before, we're also going to make Hallows Eve. Is that what it's called?
All Hallows Eve.
Okay. So, and that was and they basically said, if culture is going to be talking about death and death spirits, we're going to be talking about the death of the martyrs of the Christian faith, and we're going to talk about them. And then the next day, we're going to celebrate All Saints Day, which is the saints known and the saints unknown. We're going to celebrate them too as well. Yeah. So they really tried to blend a pagan holiday with like a Christian tradition.
Yeah, they wanted to Christianize pagan traditions like Samhain by placing a Christian holiday around the same time.
Now, the next logical question to ask is, that's really interesting, kind of weird, but pretty interesting. You put them in a blender, a pagan holiday and a Christian kind of practice to make it good. Kait, have we done this with any other holidays, or is this a one-time thing?
In fact, we have. We've done the same thing with Easter.
Okay.
And probably the most shocking of them all, Christmas.
Wow. And maybe even Thanksgiving.
And Thanksgiving, you're right.
Easter was called Eostre. That was like a Roman celebration for like the spring and fertility and new life.
Which
like
is why
rebirth.
The eggs and the rabbits.
Which is the bunny coming out for spring, the eggs, which is like the celebration of new life and rebirth and fertility. So that was the Easter. That's not even when Jesus died, we think.
Yeah.
Christmas, the same way. It was also a Roman tradition of greetings and gift giving and kind of like merry times. It was like a midwinter festival. Guess who decided to Christianize a pagan holiday?
The Christians.
The Christians.
They put that, they say that's Jesus' birthday, even though we don't have any evidence to suggest that.
No biblical evidence to suggest that random 25th day in December is anywhere remotely close to Jesus' birthday.
Yep.
So kind of crazy, is it not?
Oh, it's so crazy.
Thanksgiving was also a celebration, a Roman celebration. Again, a lot of these are Roman kind of paganistic celebrations revolving around agriculture. So that was a big one because it was at the end of the harvest season, a bountiful season. You give thanks and gratitude and reflect on your bounty with a big feast.
So all of these different holidays, by the way, Jesus was probably actually born in the spring or the fall. Is what scholars tend to believe based on different clues.
And when did he die? Like Easter.
Oh, when is it? So I don't know. Let's see.
So that's kind of wild. So we should have a spring or fall Christmas is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have?
Probably fall. I mean, because I'm so used to Christmas being in like a fall, winter.
Imagine a spring Christmas. That would be
so weird.
Terrible, honestly. All right. So fun fact, we looked up Easter. That one's actually pretty close.
It's about in the April timeframe. But I think that more interesting thing is that a lot of these holidays that Christians celebrate also coincide and kind of blended with pagan traditional holidays. So let's go into really the Halloween one though coming up. So Halloween arguably is, in my opinion, the darkest of them all.
Right.
Because this is where you're really talking about even more of the dark spirits.
Yeah.
And so, I think JP said it best, JP Pokluda, and was this on a podcast he did, I think?
Email newsletter.
An email newsletter. And, you would probably be able to summarize it better than I could. But I think where I stand on it is I might dress up for the holiday because mainly I like dressing up, and I think it's fun to do an event where you dress up. I would maybe go to a Christian Halloween party. I'm not necessarily going to like some random Halloween party where people are going to dress up in very scary, almost demonic type of things. But I'd be open to going to, a fun party where people are dressed up. Last year we dressed up as Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift,
I think we know it, yeah.
And I'd be open to giving candy out at my door, especially because if it is so dark, I'm open to it because I would love to be a light in the darkness. And I do think about Jesus, and I'm like, if Jesus was here, would he just full on separate himself, or would he, go to where the broken or even evil things are happening?
Yeah, I don't think Christians are called to necessarily totally withdraw from culture. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Christians are totally called to totally celebrate and engulf themselves with culture, right? Mm-hmm. We're foreigners here. We should not feel at home here. Like every kind of practice, all of them, all pagan traditions should feel somewhat foreign, and we should be kind of homesick is what they say. Mm-hmm. Homesick, longing for heaven, but temporarily kind of participating in these practices. With Halloween, the most interesting question and what I was thinking about was, when did it get so dark? If the origin is not so dark, if the Christian practice and blending of it was not so dark, how did we get to the point that we're at today where it is pretty dark? Mm-hmm. And it really started in the past 75 years with Hollywood. The movie Halloween, and in the 70s, the horror genre literally exploded out of nowhere. And they chose Halloween as that kind of pinnacle horror darkness that they were really going to depict and go very, very satanic, dark, sinister kind of tones and themes. Mm-hmm. And then you could obviously see through Hollywood's lens, that has been the most consistent depiction of Halloween, which is why we all widely, accept that Halloween is Halloween because of what we've seen growing up in movies. I've never really seen a witch coven and anywhere I've lived. I've heard about them. You've heard about satanic practices, but it's not like those operate one day a year, right? Those are year-round occults and beliefs and celebrations and ceremonies. So all that they do, this is like maybe their Super Bowl, or at least that's what I don't even know if it is their Super Bowl. I mean, that's just what we're led to believe by the movies that we've seen.
Right. I think the horror culture, it's horrible. I always hate I love going to the movies, but I hate the movies in October.
Right.
Hate all of the advertisements on TV. It's horrible. You're watching like a NFL, you're watching a game and then the commercials come on.
Totally.
And we have Eleanor in the room and there's some demonic thing on the screen with this movie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is horrible.
But listen, where there's money to be made, people will know no end. So the extreme doesn't have an end to where they will go to make money. So as long as we continue to support horror movies by watching them, by going to haunted houses, people are going to do whatever makes them money. So it is absolutely propagated. Oof. So I guess long story short, do you think you can celebrate Halloween without accepting and condoning the demonic aspect of Halloween?
I think so, but I think the word celebrate is very, like, how do we define celebrate? Am I saying like, Halloween, I love it. I'm celebrating all the roots of Halloween. And therefore, I'm doing all these different traditions. Or am I just saying, hey, actually, I do love All Saints Day. I love the thought of that. I love the thought of All Hallows Eve. I'm open to throwing out some candy to neighbors. I like dressing up. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Is that me full-blown celebrating Halloween and condoning everything? Or is that me maybe saying I'm going to participate in a small extent to be the light of Jesus where I think I can be?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think like another good example is if you somehow knew someone who was same-sex oriented and pursuing that orientation. They're getting married, but neither of them are Christians. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's someone you grew up with or a cousin. If you go to that wedding, are you blessing and condoning same-sex marriage? right? Are you celebrating same-sex marriage versus same-sex oriented believers or claiming to be believers pursuing that orientation? They have a wedding. I think that changes, right? Going there, celebrating, blessing sin, right? And I think that's almost the same kind of question with Halloween. Are you celebrating and participating as a condoning of sin and the demonic and the whatever is going on? Which I actually think, we really don't know the extent of that. Like, you have to admit it probably exists. Like, how often or where, you don't really know. I think that's the part that's kind of scary of Halloween. Like, you really don't know.
Are you exposing yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I do think
yourself up to the dark
I really do think on an elementary level, within your cul-de-sac of your neighborhood, the neighbors who you're trying to effectively love on and be in life with and participate with, like, I do think you can give out candy to those kids, to your neighbors, talk and participate and have a purity of heart that is to love them well, meet them where they're at. And that's exactly where it is.
I agree. I agree with you.
But I know that's controversial. If you have feedback and you have a different point of view, you're allowed to comment, message us.
Yeah, totally.
And we're open for a discussion here.
I totally are. All right, guys. Hope you're enjoying this fun season of the podcast where we're going rogue. We'd love to hear more about your dating icks, but also hope you feel challenged in them. And we'll see you next week.
Don't worry. I'm going to go burn Kait's Harry Potter books right now in the back. So
Stop.
I got you guys.
Bye, guys.
All right.
The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kait and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring this show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.